What does a university wellness program have to do with a Sinaloa-linked trafficking cell? Start at 4:42 a.m. 3 kilograms of pink cocaine and $1.2 million seized from the president's office. And follow the trail to a Henderson warehouse labeled a youth research lab, where agents found 67 pounds of pink cocaine and 22 pounds of fentanyl. Then to Paradise, where runners fought for 4 minutes to escape. The answer sits inside 14 boxes of encrypted ledgers and an innovation funding initiative that washed $28.7 million. Why would non-existent donors bankroll scholarships? Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The locked executive safe clicked, but the real map wasn't under the brass lamp. It stretched in a triangle across Henderson, Paradise, and North Las Vegas. Each point timed to open as the office seal broke. The office gave you a hint. The grid outside told the story. At 4:42 a.m., agents lifted 3 kilos of pink cocaine and $1.2 million from Dr. Whitford's suite, while other teams drove to pre-planned doors. The timing wasn't a coincidence. Halls stayed quiet, lights low, and phones dead as a narrow window closed on anyone trying to warn a driver or wipe a server. The clock mattered more than any single room. So why hit an executive suite at the same second warehouses and safe houses went hot? Because one breach without the others invites the network to disappear. High-level raids trigger alarms in the strangest places. Mailrooms, guard shacks, even janitorial closets. If you strike one site first, couriers scatter, laptops go in microwaves, and records vanish into dumpsters. By stacking entries, investigators remove exits. The office seizure became a decoy and a fuse, forcing the rest of the circuit to light up before anyone could cut the power. That's the playbook when the FBI and DEA move as one. Synchronized warrants served in a burst, short comms blackout windows to choke off phone trees, and teams pre-positioned to block out to kill the lag between the knock and the door swing. Evidence destruction thrives on delay. Tactics like simultaneous hits, layered perimeter security, and rapid digital triage turn delay into a dead end. When a runner lifts a device, a jammer hums. When a shredder starts, the power trips. Every minute is scheduled. Henderson looked harmless on paper. The site carried a youth research label, the kind of phrase that chills questions in zoning offices and softens freight screens. Behind that sign sat bulk inventory. Shelving rows, odor control, industrial dehumidifiers, pallet jacks with fresh inspection tags. On forms and manifests, benign language does work. Call a warehouse a lab, make the recipient a program with a wellness flavor, and the truck looks normal in a school district. Criminal groups lean on institutional branding because it lowers friction at every approval step. Permits clear faster, neighbors relax, and logistics vendors stop asking for secondary contact checks. Paradise didn't play quiet. 4 minutes. That's how long runners tried to burn and dump product while others angled for a car exit. Gunfire snapped in controlled bursts after a weapon came up. A flashbang punched the soundscape, and a smoke plume crawled across the alley. The violence wasn't to win a firefight. It was to buy seconds for data wipes and cash tosses. That window closed hard. Bags half lit on a grill. A bathtub drain stained. A laptop lid snapped under a boot. Too slow against teams staged for both the room and the driveway. North Las Vegas held the backbone. A storage unit door lifted on 14 boxes of encrypted ledgers and drives. Spines labeled by quarter. Internal codes handwritten in the margin. External shipments cross-referenced to innocuous budget lines. In cases like this, paperwork builds the tree. Who pays, who moves, where it pauses, where it lands. The data lets analysts reconstruct hierarchy and cash streams with more certainty than any interview ever will. You asked what sat in that office. 3 kilos and $1.2 million. Those numbers mattered, but they were a signal flare, not the fire. They told the teams the routes were live and the clock was right. If products showed the paths in pink, the ledgers would point to the engine. Money that walked onto campus wearing a scholarship smile. Donors that never lived. nonprofits with no doors, a campus innovation fund that moved like a high-speed washer. That was the promise on glossy brochures and town halls, and it made everyone feel better. But the ledgers pulled from North Las Vegas said the quiet part with numbers, not slogans. The Innovation Funding Initiative carried an academic glow. It funneled money through wellness programs, scholarships aimed at first-gen students, and a list of facility upgrades with warm names. A new counseling suite here, a study pod there, and digital kiosks that tracked attendance at health workshops. Grants arrived on a predictable cadence, often 2 days before a scheduled board briefing, which let administrators cite progress with receipts in hand. Payables cleared through a shared vendor portal. The same portal approved supply purchases for outreach kits, biosample tools, and student engagement materials, all of which matched the language parked on the Henderson filing. On paper, donors showed up in waves. The bank trails told a different story. Transfers bled back to feeder accounts that sat behind a Chapatos-aligned subgroup tied to Sinaloa roots. The path ran through a Southwest credit union, into a Nevada LLC with a civic-sounding name, then jumped to a regional foundation with no board roster. Money left those accounts hours before campus ledgers recorded anonymous gift processed, which put the smile on the scholarship line while wires looped the other way. The funnel looked simple once the pieces sat side by side. Fake donor entries landed in the development database. 2 mental health nonprofits appeared as program partners in grant notes, but they had no offices, no staff, and no service calendars. Their EINs checked out. Their addresses did not. Funds moved from the partners to a campus account flagged for wellness and engagement, then bled back to procurement lists that aligned with shipments entering under the research lab banner. The loop closed when stipends and facility invoices cleaned the remainder as ordinary spend. Basic laundering turns on 3 steps: placement, layering, and integration. On campus, that translated into gift placement via donor portals and partner grants. Layering hid movement through LLCS, shell nonprofits, and split invoices that broke a large purchase into many small ones. Integration folded the funds back into normal operations. Counseling contracts, student jobs, and building refreshes. Procurement tags masked the edges. A microscope became a biomonitor, a cooler became an evidence tote, and a thermal sealer passed as a sample integrity tool. None of those raised eyebrows in a university budget. People on the inside kept the gears aligned. 5 senior administrators held the access to tweak shipping logs and clear mail entries. They adjusted receiving times to match deposit confirmations so a pallet always looked like it belonged. They used a pre-clear list to waive secondary ID checks for carriers tied to the youth lab. When a crate arrived late, a backdated service ticket moved the entry into a prior window so audits read clean. Students formed the soft edge. 34 couriers believed they served a health outreach program. They ferried kits in backpack loads to dorms and first-year housing, thinking they restocked events, not micro-shipments. They scanned QR codes at drop points that logged volunteer hours, and the system sent them wellness credits and free meal vouchers. The corridor widened off campus with 1 set of signatures. Zoning approvals skipped standard safety reviews on research space permits tied to the Henderson site. The exceptions cut inspection cycles by weeks and trimmed background checks for freight handlers. That made the road smooth enough for a steady flow. The Henderson warehouse wore the Youth Research Lab badge, and investigators counted 67 pounds of pink cocaine and 22 pounds of fentanyl inside. The paperwork and the product matched line for line, which told you the cover and the cargo were designed together. With ledgers and comms in custody, forensic teams follow the flows, because when networks run this tight, the money keeps talking even if no one else will. The drugs were the symptom. The ledger was the disease. Systems built for learning became camouflage when verification stopped and trust turned into a passcode. You study, work, and donate inside those systems, so make the next move. Demand audits. Ask who verifies donors. Ask who checks nonprofits. Ask who signs off when reviews get skipped, and what happens when someone says no. Those 14 boxes may not be the end. If those transfers touched other schools and labs, the next raid won't start with a battering ram. It starts with a scholarship report, an irregular invoice, and a registrar who refuses to rubber stamp silence.